New developments in the Tex McIver murder trial. The high-profile attorney accused of intentionally shooting his wife, Diane, in the back while he was sitting behind her in an SUV. He says he'd fallen asleep. His gun went off when he was jolted awake. Well, now we're seeing for the first time surveillance video of the moment the couple arrives at the hospital. Tex helping to pull his dying wife from the car. Hospital staff taking the witness stand to recount what they saw, including one nurse who called his behavior, quote, emotionless. A doctor testifying Diane didn't want to see her husband, while another nurse says Diane told her it was an accident after her husband was holding a gun behind her back. Joining us now, Bianchi, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor. I mean, as we look at all this, obviously we're going to hear from the witnesses, right, who are being put on the stand, who people want to make the case, right? We're hearing from them. But it is interesting the way that they're describing all this, including the nurse who says that the husband was, Tex McIver was emotionless. Could you also read that as someone who's in shock?
Absolutely. Erica, from the beginning of this case, I said, and now after listening to the opening statements and watching the evidence, I say it even more. This is a not guilty or a hung jury in this case. As a prosecutor who's tried cases like this, the whole state's case is premised upon a financial motive. And if you're going to have a financial motive when initially you were calling it an accident and then you changed the theory of your case, which the defense is going to exploit in front of the jury, that motive better be shown to have been something that really bothered him, and they don't have that evidence in this case.
Well, then, if they don't have that, why would you change it? Because as you're going through your discovery, right, and as you're making your case, you could find something that changes, right, the trajectory or the way that you want to present your case. That's not unheard of.
No, it's not unheard of, but in this particular case, all that information was available to them when they made the initial charging decision. But what's even stranger here is that law doesn't come down, and trials don't come down to law school and how smart you are. They come down to the rule of common sense. This guy's driving in the backseat of a car. He's going to do this in front of her best friend that's driving the vehicle. And we just found out in the testimony that actually the victim handed the gun to him because they had gotten off an interstate. He felt that it was a dangerous area. He said, "Can you hand me the gun?" Then the gun was shot low in her back, in terms of shooting through his seat. Only one round. If you're going to kill her, if that's what your intention is, you're only going to get one round off. You can't explain shooting 2 and 3 rounds off. What a strange way for somebody to do something like this. It doesn't make sense. And when the state has the burden to prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt to 12 jurors, this is really a tortured case and a very difficult road. And these defense lawyers, I watched these openings as a trial lawyer myself. I was impressed with them, and they have done a great job at showing this was a loving marriage, that this was people that never had any kind of problems in their marriage before. It doesn't make sense.
A couple of the things that did come out. Her personal assistant testifying that Tex was talking about possibly getting back together with one of his ex-girlfriends days after the death, and also one of the other nurses saying that Tex's attorney was one of the first people to get to the hospital. Perhaps not entirely shocking. Maybe it's a good friend, too, but that they were huddled, and it almost looked like they were planning something. Does that raise a red flag for you?
It does as a prosecutor, but I have also known as a prosecutor investigated cases where people have lied about certain things because they were trying to cover up their wrongdoing. He doesn't want to be responsible for the person who was responsible for the death of his wife. So while, yeah, there's some suspicion, these are all odd, tangential things that they're trying to throw out there, and they're going to try to put a ballistics expert that's going to get on the stand. That is, the state is going to put a ballistics expert who can't even tell you if the gun was in single action or double action with regard to it when it went off. The defense indicates that they're going to say it was in a plastic bag, that it was shot sideways, that it was shot down. This is just, all that little ancillary stuff says to me desperation by the prosecution. I don't want to be trying a case as a prosecutor with these little shards and interpretations of things. Why was his lawyer there? Why did he say this? And let's not forget, something that's really compelling to me is that in the end of the day, the woman said, the victim, there's only 3 people in that vehicle. The victim, his wife, said it was an accident.
Right. We will be watching for more. Bob, appreciate it. Thank you.